It was awesome.
He invites somebody to your house. He comes in the back.
I need to ask. I still don't understand why. I got to ask him about that.
So I guess where he's going to go smoke his cigarettes. He just wants to have a good lay of the land, maybe.
Figure out where to go.
All right, man.
Ready?
Is this going to be a hard-hitting interview?
You know better.
Last one we interviewed was Tiger King.
Was that the last one?
Yeah, Joey.
So I watched that, or watched and listened. It was great. I mean, I was surprised that y'all were able to get him.
From prison.
Mr. Persistent over here.
You had plenty of time on his hands.
Yeah. I'll just reach out to him on Twitter, and he's like, "Yeah, for $100 an hour." I'm like, "Really? Okay."
Well, y'all called and talked until the phone cut off, and then he called back.
Yeah.
15-minute increments.
Yeah.
Did you get the full? You're being called from a.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
That's the beauty of it. That was the best part.
Oh, yeah, man. That's gold.
When you posted about it, and I was like, okay, this is a joke, something typed
what everybody
up.
thought.
And then it kicked on, and I was like, that's him.
That's really him. Yeah. We invited him to Alabama. Like, hey, when you get out of prison, come.
So what do you do?
Game.
Mail him a check? I mean, how do they
Just
get
did
their
like
money?
on Venmo. Yeah, it's like a charity thing, like to raise money for his what they call it,
Legal fund.
commissary or whatever. Yeah, legal fund.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know if it went on his tab at the prison where he could go buy Kit Kats or something.
I don't know. I just sent it like on. I think it was through Cash App or something illegal. I was like, I'm gonna fix to lose $100. But it worked.
Hey, man, that's
Surprised.
awesome.
Goes to the cell phone and the hollowed out portion of his mattress.
Yeah. And me and Matt were sitting here at the laptop just waiting. It was like supposed to call us at 2, and it was like 2:10. We're like, we got screwed. And all of a sudden, random number called. Look, you got a call from where was it? Dallas, Fort Worth prison or something like that.
Yeah.
Sweet. That was good.
That's podcast gold, baby.
It is.
You gonna
We going?
intro? Yeah, I say we go ahead and start. These guys are busy.
Boozy Spirits with Matt Ray and Justin Grimble.
This is all you could ever ask for, podcast.
And we use you in our intro. You see that?
I see that, man. I have made it big time. I can now die.
Exactly.
Yes, I can now leave
You've
this
done
earth
it all.
satisfied. Yes.
So we have a great show tonight. We have pretty much the whole city here, I feel like.
That's right. Well, we don't have anything to do, so why not?
Oh, I can see the emails now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who's supposed to be keeping who out of trouble.
That's what I was
Exactly.
thinking. Yeah.
So we got Walt Maddox, mayor of Tuscaloosa. Richard Rush, official title is press?
Executive Director of Strategic Communication. Yeah.
Did you make that up?
Of course not. Of course not.
That sounds like a lot of money.
He won the title in Scrabble. It's really
That's
impressive.
right.
Yeah.
And Scott Holmes, city attorney,
That's it.
at large.
For now.
Okay.
See, I've got my bases covered. If I say something stupid, I got the comms guy here. If I say something illegal, I've got the city attorney here. So
Smart.
man,
You have to travel with all of them all the time.
yeah, I'm always a step ahead.
Smart.
I don't see Scott in the middle.
Yeah.
That's right.
Last time I was here, I was afraid I was going to get fired later. Now I can just get fired instantly. Here on the show.
Scott says what you can say. I say what you can't say.
So how hard is it to fire a city employee? Is that something we could talk about?
Sure, why not?
Jump right in, huh?
Well, listen, which one are you talking about?
It's not as easy as if you just somebody work for you. So
Right.
you guys, here
It's easier
at
for
the
us.
restaurant, You say sorry, have a nice day, see you later. It doesn't work that same way. We have we have personnel board, we have civil service protection, but we do have an extremely high standard in our
Right.
employees, and we hold them to it. And if somebody's not working out, they get they get their various steps of discipline
Process.
eventually are like.
Good answer.
He sounds like a politician, doesn't he?
Doesn't
Yeah.
Let's throw that over there by you and Richard. There you go.
No, it's not. It's obviously a little bit more complicated in government.
Sure.
But for our 1,400 employees, I would put them against anyone. We do a really good job at 19 different disciplines across the city, and very proud of what they do every day. And that's the truth. So hopefully, rarely we have to take the step of firing someone, but we do if we have to.
Right.
And we will hold everyone to that standard.
It's good to know.
You got that look like you don't believe it.
I believe you. I fully believe you.
We'll
I just
invite
know
you-
it's easy. If I want to fire somebody, I just say, hey,
Thanks for coming out.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
appreciate it.
We don't need you anymore.
Yeah. not going to put you on the schedule next week.
Yeah, when I was in high school, you just get less and less hours every week
Way
until
to do it.
eventually.
That's
you
kind of
weren't
what we
there
do,
anymore.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll see now if I have to ever go work in your industry. Now I get it.
Exactly.
If I start getting less hours.
Yeah. You go from 5 days to 1.
Yeah.
You know
And,
something's
you know,
up.
yeah, the new girls got
You do
10
that,
days.
don't you?
Yeah, you learned it from me.
I did learn it from you. I had a good mentor here.
That's right.
You got a question?
I don't know. I'm
you
thinking.
do.
I know we got Ryan coming, but we'll just act
He
like
was,
he's,
he was waiting on
we'll just
Ryan.
act like he's here.
You know, where is Ryan? Is it
don't know.
is it beautiful people just show up when they want to?
He just
Is-
comes in random doors. He'll probably come in that saloon door.
He will come in the back door.
He's
probably
not
back
behind the
there.
Northport treatment plan, is he?
I don't know.
He knows where to go.
Yeah. He's been here before, a couple times.
So I know it's election time. We're not going to talk election right now,
Yeah.
but we'll wait for Ryan to get here. But you've accomplished a lot in your how many years as mayor?
20 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And I can't believe I've been here 20 years. It absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah.
What were y'all thinking when y'all elected me 20 years ago? I mean, come on, Tuscaloosa. You lost your minds electing a 32-year-old.
And who did you take the place of? Was it
Al DuPont.
That's what I thought.
You know, Tuscaloosa's only had 5 mayors since 1958.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had Mayor DuPont, myself, Mayor Hinton, Mayor Van Tassel, and Mayor Collins, and that's it. Those 5 mayors since 1958. So the good news is we tend to want to keep our mayors a long time. Maybe
Which
that's
is
why
good.
Tuscaloosa's been successful.
I agree.
That's at least part of my pitch for the upcoming election on March 4th.
Well,
But
you've accomplished a lot in that time period, and especially the last, 5-6 years. I mean, I've really seen. I feel like Tuscaloosa's on a great
Oh, yeah, for sure.
it's
trajectory.
It is. Passing Elevate really helped us. It gave
agree.
us the revenue sources to be able to make the investments. It is so cool to me on a Sunday, you can be downtown and just see the vibrancy. Hey, to see what you've done with the sanctuary. I mean, just to see what's going to happen over the next couple of years in that area as that redevelops. Giving entrepreneurs like both of you the confidence that, hey, your city's going to grow behind you and support whatever it is that you invest in. So it is really, to me, just it is so cool being born here and raised here to see all this vibrancy and activity. And we're just, to me, I think we're only at the tip of the iceberg with this thing. I think we can do a lot more in the years to come. I know we will, and it's exciting to be part of. The cool thing for me is every day I don't go to work. I feel like I'm on a mission. And I say this a lot, but I truly mean it. I'm this kid from Idlewood over in East Tuscaloosa. Never dreamed I could ever get this chance that I have. And to be part of this, to work with people like these two, and it's extraordinary to think what we can, I get to do this and I get to be part of something greater than myself.
And that is the smart part, is surround yourself with.
Oh, we kid a lot. I can't say enough about Dr. Rush and Scott Holmes. They are, first of all, they have a very bad habit of telling me what they think.
Whether you like it or
whether
not.
I like it or not. And I say that kidding. I'm glad they do, because you need, it's easy to tell people what they want to hear.
Yeah, you don't want a bunch of yes guys.
Yeah. And luckily, the 19 department heads that I work directly with on a daily basis, they have a bad habit of saying what's on their mind. I don't know if you know Chief Blankley or Kimberly Michael or Carly Standridge, just to name a few of our department heads, LaShonda Herbert. They will tell you what they think, and that is, for me, it is a relief, because you do fear sometimes people are telling you what you want to hear, and I don't have to. Especially this group of department heads, I never have to worry about that. They're going to tell me the truth, and it's good to hear. Yeah, and hopefully they feel the freedom to do that. And, just because they may end up on the back of a garbage cart working in the rain, I mean, you know what? That's good for you, don't you think?
It is.
Yeah.
It's cross training.
Yeah. There you go. I like that.
You never know.
You never know.
On that same note, the amount of things that I've been able to do while I've worked at the city has been amazing. And we were actually talking about this on the way here, just how many things that the city does and all of the things that the city has a hand in that people don't even know that. I think working at the city for the past 6 years, I've gotten to experience and see, and it really is a miracle in how well everything functions around here. And I think that is a huge testament to the team that we have at the city.
The way I've described a lot of what my office does, because we're fortunate to, a little bit of everything that comes across our desk. And I told one of my younger attorneys that our office is a lot like those books, The Busy World of Richard Scarry. We open it up and you really see the inside, and it's all labeled. You know what all this stuff is. I mean, we went out a few weeks ago and just went and got a good education on lift stations. You know, I hear us talk about lift stations all the time. You know, I couldn't have drawn you a lift station, and just to see how different they are, how they work, where they are, and get educated by the engineers that are real experts on that is, I think, really interesting and a huge perk of what I get to do.
Agree.
Yeah, you never get bored.
No.
And there's never, it feels like you may have problems that are similar, but they never seem alike.
Yeah.
And the challenge of trying to figure that out, to me, is a lot of fun. And these guys get to see, they get to see the whole picture like I do. Their jobs require them to see the whole picture. You know, a police chief, and rightly so, only sees the police department.
Yeah.
Same with our other departments, whether it's public works, ESD, fire, et cetera. So making things work, it's a fun puzzle to put together. And I work closely with these two because we're generally trying to either find the legal solution to what we're trying to solve, and then communicate it effectively. The problem we've got, I think every municipality or government has, is that social media certainly makes everyone's voice louder. Mm-hmm. It also, everyone feels empowered that they know the solution to X, Y, or Z.
Absolutely.
I can't tell you how many times people have said, why did the mayor build those red arches? Now, here's the thing, is that wasn't done by the city of Tuscaloosa. It was done by ALDOT. Yeah. But 4 years ago when I was running for re-election as mayor, when we polled people on Lurleen Wallace Boulevard and the arches, 71% thought the city of Tuscaloosa and the mayor were responsible for that.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. And so trying to communicate these things is part of it. There's people that believe we build grocery stores or we build apartments.
Right.
And you know, the mayor, you know, I've been asked in this election cycle, why didn't the city put more grocery stores down here? Well, we don't build grocery stores.
I've seen the same
Has
thing.
to be a demand. And has to.
Why's the city council, why they put a Starbucks there? That's stupid. Like,
Yeah.
they approved them, like they approved the business to operate.
And there's
It's
a
not their
guy
job.
A couple years
No, I
ago
know.
that used to comment on all the city Facebook posts. You know, what's the mayor done for Holt lately?
Yeah.
And nothing.
Exactly.
I've done absolutely nothing. And for Cottondale too, and Foster's. And that's the hard part at times about his job, I would think, is that trying to communicate that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
People
very,
don't understand the difference.
I think people need civics.
They do.
I mean, I hate to sound old-fashioned
And
like that.
English. I got a little taste of the government because I'm the HOA president now in Bristol Park.
Oh, dear Lord.
So
Yeah.
everything, hey, we did this. Why? You should have done this way. You should have done that. I'm like,
Everybody's got a better solution.
yeah, like yesterday I just saved us 10 grand on our insurance. I posted about it. I had 3 insurance experts. Well, who'd you go with? Why'd you do this? I'm like, did you care before? Like,
But they're an immediate expert.
immediate expert, yes.
Yeah, I get that.
It's a lot easier to criticize than it is to govern.
It is.
We had
They don't even get paid.
we had an area where we're doing some deep patching before we do asphalting, and it made an HOA page and it just went crazy. Is that how the city's doing asphalting now? It's so it's so stupid, and you know, I can't believe, what are they thinking? And you just want to say, no, before we put the final layer of asphalt down, there has to be deep patching that occurs so that we don't have any other problems with it. And then it was, come on in here, Ryan.
Get here when you can, sir.
Hey, friends.
Well, then,
Sexy.
why didn't you pave the next day? Well, because the temperature was below 40 degrees, and you had to have temperatures above 40 degrees usually for about 5 days of paving. Well, that's stupid. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's how asphalt is made, and I don't know how much.
What do you want to respond? What do you want to say when?
No, we can't do that. This is a family show, right? We can't.
That's right.
Definitely not
It
a
is
family show.
definitely.
I do think when I'm done being mayor, everyone that's trolled me, I just cannot wait to troll them. You know, when they post a picture of them with their family at Disney World, I'm like, Disney World's so stupid. You should have took them to Universal Studios. What are you thinking? You're a stupid dad. You're just dumb.
Gonna
You
have a new
know?
hobby.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
It will. I mean, the abuse that I was kidding Richard that we need to do. What was Jimmy? What's his name? Jimmy Kimball's
The mean tweets.
mean tweets. I just want to
would
do.
be.
That'd be funny.
That would be awesome.
I just want to do some of the mean tweets you
I
get.
need to.
Dude, I might see some of those coming
people,
up.
People,
I might see
people
some.
love that stuff.
I think
They
so.
love to see it coming from government. I do.
Yeah,
Because, hey, we're all people.
Yeah.
yeah.
And the funny stuff is, I think the
I'll
best
take
stuff.
something fancy.
Oh, yeah.
You got it.
But mean tweet.
Well, we got Ryan Phillips here.
Great to be here.
Hey,
Sorry
grab
I'm late.
that big porter.
Hey,
yeah.
I
Oh,
actually
dang. It's
I
big
actually
boy beer.
suggested that because I think Northport needs to be in your blood.
Oh yeah, no, I can do it. Already is. It already is. But what have we been talking about? Yeah, sorry to be late. So we're rolling, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we
nice
just-
to be here.
We're
to
45
everybody at
minutes
home.
in
Just got
right now.
started.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
You bought the first round. You just didn't
Hey.
even know it.
somebody's got to. Need some help.
You can talk about I'm sure you run into experts.
Oh, I mean, it's awful for me, but it's the same thing that it's all people. You know, I'm a part of the deep state, obviously. That's why I'm here.
Oh, there's no doubt.
You know, running propaganda.
What's the
for-
benefit package come in the deep state? I mean, is that
I'm
like
still
a
waiting on the check. You know, I signed the contract years ago in my own blood, but you know, still waiting on that first residual.
I mean, do you get like $4 off at the Golden Corral or something like that? How's that?
I get out of jail free cards. I just don't tell nobody. Oh, thank you.
Got your bottle opener, Matt?
So who's the Elon Musk of Tuscaloosa now? Who's the Doge guy that's doing
Oh,
the
that's
government
That's a good
efficiency?
question.
That is a good question. Who do we
Oh,
need?
was
I was
it?
trying
Not
to get a
bad.
job.
You want to be the Doge expert?
Do it for free.
What's going to be? Let me just say we're always looking to be as effective as we can, but I do think there is. I can't wait to see how this works out at the federal level
Right.
because, on one hand, it's a little scary to think somebody's just going to parachute in and rip a bureaucracy
They want
down
some?
to its studs.
Yeah.
Good thing.
I will say though, we deal with the federal government every single day in multiple ways. It does need to be ripped down to the studs.
Yeah.
And so, in a way, it's almost as if, you know, I think it's the only way you can do it.
You got to start somewhere.
And frankly, I know at the city, our bureaucracy is fierce. I mean, fierce. I can only imagine at the federal level what it's like. And it almost takes a shock and awe. Now, certainly you don't want classified information out there, or you've got to protect sensitive information. I get all that. But I think it is a good process. And for us at the city, we're doing the same examination of where can we save money? Where can technology save us money? In government, we have a bad habit of creating a new program while keeping the old program. Mm-hmm. And those are areas we have to be very intentional about of saying, you know, that's just not acceptable. We're not an employment agency. Our job is to deliver services. So what's the best way to do it? And I really firmly believe that we get 95 to 99% of that right. It's the 1% we've got to continue to fight hard to make certain everyone's earning that paycheck every single week or every other week.
I like what you see what Joe Rogan said about Elon. You see that?
seen it.
Well, they were saying, you know, he's stealing your money. He's like, he has $400 billion. Like, he doesn't want your money. Like, he's been screwed with all his life by all these people. Now he's doing it for free and going after everybody.
As the one
He's like-
contrarian at the table, though, I don't mind, you know, giving my favorite joke I've heard is it's like a bunch of billionaires are finally like ripping the copper out of the walls of this country, you know, as a last ditch. So it's what it feels like. It feels like we're living in this weird dystopia now where we can't communicate with each other. And it gets worse every day, like y'all were talking about with the Facebook warriors. So I don't know.
So
I'll take the opposite position.
So what's the ending, Ron? Where are we 4 years from today?
Man, you know, I heard that there was a meteor that was going to hit us. There's like a 2% chance. So, like,
So you think that's it?
It went from like
Fingers crossed.
1.3 to 2%.
right, like overnight.
I don't
like
wanna,
my odds.
I don't want to do a spoiler, or let me give a spoiler alert.
You know what's going to happen. You know.
No,
Deep
no,
state.
they don't
He's
tell
in the know.
they don't tell mayors this. Invest in gold. No. If you ever want to kind of a look at where you have a fear of things going, Stephanie and I started watching a show called Paradise. Have you seen it?
Oh, no. I'm familiar with it.
Oh yeah, I don't. It is.
It's the one about the president getting killed or assassinated.
Yeah, you need to. Wow.
What's it on?
Yeah, what channel?
Hulu.
Okay.
And it's very rare that I find a show that throws as many suspenseful surprises as House of Cards did. You know, especially in the first 2 years, how House of Cards, then it got just off to, you know, then Trump was elected and we were like, well, that's just normal behavior, right? I mean, but this one has that same sort of like, what just happened is awesome. But it does have that dystopian feel to it to kind of get to what you were talking about.
And we've been watching a lot of Severance. Have y'all watched that?
haven't seen that either.
A+, Ben Stiller's best work, other than maybe Tropic Thunder. It's like, you know, that you work in this, you know, massive, and it's hard to explain without going on and on, but, you know, that they've developed technology that they can insert into your brain that, you know, when you enter a certain level at work, all of your outside memories, all of that, it basically becomes a different person, you know, inside, and then you can compartmentalize your work, you know, life balance that way.
My wife would pay a fortune for that.
Oh, I would too, and I would use it in more ways.
Now,
than
can you
one,
get that
more
off
than
of
just
Amazon?
word.
Or is it
On Temu, you know, but I wouldn't advise it.
That may be the kind of austerity measures we're looking for here at the city, and things like that. Ryan, I'll get your take on this because my take is the next 4 years are certainly going to stretch the limits of government. What I'm going to be fascinated about is how much does executive power how much does the legislative and judicial branches allow the executive branch to dominate over the other two? I would like to think at some point that rubber band snaps.
It's got to at some point.
It has to, or else I do worry about where we go from here. Because the other side of this, right now, if you're on the Republican side, you view this as a good thing, as you normally would. But that pendulum's going to switch, and that means that in 4 or 8 years, if you have a Democrat president, they're going to feel empowered to have that same sort of executive authority, and it won't be so good then. And I'm hopeful that people will go back to our system of checks and balances that has worked. It hasn't been flawless by any means, but has worked for this country. We better, or we enter into a new age. I don't know how we end up.
Yeah.
Well, I worry about like the erosion of trust in institutions. That's probably the thing that scares me the most. And it's because, I mean, you know, my institution is a victim of that too. You know, working in the media, that now it's, you know, if you don't want to believe something, you can yell fake news at the top of your lungs, and that suddenly becomes reality. You know, but I've really tried, especially this second go around, because on anything, everybody knows I'm not a big fan of Trump or his approach to things. But I guess, still want to hold out hope that, you know, if there is more power in the executive branch, take you, for instance. You're one of the most powerful mayors in Alabama because of a certain set of circumstances, and you've done a great job with that. Not everybody has that level of character, earns that level of trust in the community. And I'm not just kissing your ass here. Like, you know, that I really do believe that.
You need some lipstick.
Right. Well, I love him so much. I'm going to vote for him twice in the upcoming election.
Thank you, man.
From Northport. But that's the one thing I'm holding out hope for, that if you give, you know, one party everything it wants, maybe there's some benevolence there and they can get something done. I don't have faith in that personally.
Yeah.
But I look at a politician like you, and again, not blowing smoke, that, you know, in the right hands, you know, a lot of executive authority can be a good thing.
But I don't think I have as much executive authority. I mean, certainly the mayor of Tuscaloosa has executive authority, but I still have to work with the city council. I think sometimes people think I can just arbitrarily do X, Y, or Z. And the council plays a very important role in that process.
But you had the tornado and COVID, you know, that really did. A lot of people were looking for quick, decisive action in that, and you showed to be the guy for the job.
Well, I've been very fortunate to have a council that supported me and an amazing team, and I'm not just saying that. But council races are important, so I want your take. And can you? I know you had to take a leave on the Northport side.
Not yet, but as I said, we might have to edit that out.
What are the politics going to be this time over there? Is it? And I'm friends with everyone that serves on that council. You know, I'm busy with dealing with the politics of Tuscaloosa. Let me rephrase that. I want to ask you a question. Why are the politics so different between Tuscaloosa and Northport? Because there's only a river that separates us, but it does feel different.
I mean, I definitely think there's that little brother syndrome that, you know, you have that. And then when, y'all are able to deliver on so much bigger projects than Northport will ever be able to. They've got some big wish list items, the River Run Park, all that's great. But they can't, sure.
University Beach.
Right, University Beach, but they can't compete at the same level as a municipality that y'all can. So I do think historically there's that little brother complex, but also too, it's the caliber of individual historically that seems to want to run. That it's easy to get tired and, after you take some barbs and, it's like, I'm going to take my ball and go home, or, that you piss the voters off so bad that they either tar and feather you and run you off or you get voted out. I do think that this is going to be, and I've covered local politics in 3 different states. I think this is going to be the very first local election I've ever covered that is a single issue election, that you are going to have the vast majority of folks turning out to vote on one issue. On the resort. So, I'll be interested to see, because I think anybody who's saddled themselves up to it right now is pretty radioactive.
Yeah.
And there's already been several folks come out, that are pretty competitive type candidates that have said they're going to run against incumbents that aren't very popular right now. So, who knows? But I mean, historically, though, Northport seems to completely clean out like every 8 years. So this could just be history repeating itself.
We were talking. I think it was Richard and I were talking about this the other day, because in Alabama you have several cities, Northport being one of them, that have a city administrator or a city manager, and you have other cities that have a strong mayor form of government. I tend, and I'm very biased because we're the strong mayor form of government, but I think that's what you have to move things forward, and for this reason only. It doesn't matter about the caliber of people, but imagine if you had 5 people or 7 people trying to move one entity in a focused direction. It's impossible. A mayor can do that because the mayor doesn't work for there's a check and balance, right? The mayor can be checked by the council, but he doesn't work for the council, he or she. It's harder in places like Northport or other places with the city manager government to do bold things, because you've got to get, I guess in their case, 3, but the majority of council members to move in one direction. And it tends to create a lot of friction. It's better in our case for our council to be mad at me than to be mad at each other. And I think that really helps, because they can react to me on a recommendation, but it keeps them really from imploding on each other. Yeah. And that dynamic, to me, that's one of the dynamics that have worked for Tuscaloosa. I'm not saying it worked for Northport, but it certainly has worked for us.
Like in Northport, I'm sure you'll remember when Wayne Rose was mayor.
Yeah.
That he was probably the most popular mayor in terms of the support that he had on the council. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody made the comment, because the mayor doesn't have a vote other than a tiebreaker over there, but that he didn't need a vote because he had 5 on the council. So that's how it used to be. And it's really kind of gone away from that. But then again, that's the old Northport. Things have changed. So,
do you think they'll ever look at the form of government, or they're very happy with the way it's structured now?
I think with more growth, I don't know, that things have changed. It's not the same Northport it was 10 years ago by any stretch. I think it's the 17th biggest city in the state now, which is wild to think about. Just like right across the street from the 7th? Isn't that what we are? 5th. Okay.
Right,
No offense. No offense. So I don't know. I mean, I think it would be wise, but what about, I'll flip the question back on you, that, what if, when we get this municipal form of government, or not municipal, metro form of government, and I become dictator,
I'm looking forward to it.
So I'll keep you on my staff.
I'll give it to you.
I want to be undersecretary for nothing, but I want to make a good salary at it.
Well, what do you think about that? Didn't y'all go on like a benchmarking trip or something like that, where y'all saw a market that had
100 years ago, Gerald Allen and I can't remember who else, went to go take a look at Louisville. I do think, and again, this is where probably I'd get a lot of disagreement. I do think there needs to be a metro government between the incorporated areas of Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa, and Northport. That will never happen.
Right.
I think it's impossible to incorporate a metro government for the whole county. Mm-hmm. People in Samantha do not want municipal governments. They don't want zoning. They don't want code enforcement. They don't. And by the way, they moved there so they could avoid those things, right? You can't force that upon people. But if you're in the Hillcrest area, Tuscaloosa area, Northport area, you move to those areas to have those protections under municipal code. So I tend to think that if you're going to want to explore a metro government, that's where you would start. I think it would be initially the first 15 to 20 years would be bad for Tuscaloosa because we would have to spend a lot of money to bring up other areas to a standard. and that would be, that would be an investment that probably long term would be best. It would have some short term pain, but if you're going to start that discussion and create that dictator of the metro area, I think that's where you would need to start it. And it would be tough, but it would probably in the long run if you're looking at things from a 20 to 50 year horizon, that would be the right thing to do. But it's never going to happen. And Ryan, you know why it's never going to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not going to be Tuscaloosa.
The county isn't going to. I don't know if that's where you were going with it, but that seems like the elephant in the room.
I don't know how much the county. I don't think the areas of Hillcrest or the areas of Northport. I don't think they would want it.
Right. I really don't think the stomach's there for it.
No, I don't. I think they'd see as the evil empire of Tuscaloosa
Absolutely.
is trying to eat up these areas, and that necessarily wouldn't be the case, but that would be the belief.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, we've had a couple of really good people leave Tuscaloosa City Hall to come work at Northport City Hall, and that conspiracy theory already is gaining traction. So it's like way ahead of you.
They know about that?
Oh yeah, they're on to you.
Scott, what? That's not true, Ryan. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think they're having a posting for an attorney right now.
No, there's no truth. I mean, in all seriousness, that I don't see any way under the sun in our lifetimes that could ever happen. Yeah. The other problem you got too is schools. You got the county schools, city schools. You still, although I don't think it's as prevalent now, there's this move to make Northport have its own school system.
They're bringing it back.
They're going to keep pushing for it. I don't see how that would be possible without raising property taxes.
I don't remember his name. One of the new councilman is trying to run for council of District 5. It was in the county system. He's trying to.
Oh, Danny Higdon. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They said he would be a big proponent pushing that.
So. You would have to almost settle the school system issue before you could get to the metro government issue.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's understandable, because if I'm in the county schools, I wouldn't want moving to a metro government impacting where I wanted to be in my school system. So that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Ryan, you mentioned it being impossible to raise property taxes. I wonder, and I come from a place of ignorance. I've never had to start a school system. But my guess is there would be a vote initially to set the initial property tax level. And so you may actually be able to get a higher initial property tax level there versus raising taxes, right? Because to me, if I'm a voter, I see, okay, I wanted my own school system. I wanted this. I'm going to vote for these taxes. It's very different than I have this and now you want me to give more. And so I'm curious what they would eye for that. I lived in Northport when that discussion came up the first time around.
And I'm interested to see, after we had the city property tax vote fail too. Now that was a lot more, because Alpha fought the county one, but there's a lot of big business interests fought it. And I'll say this on the podcast: where are they right now? That are, and for the county, for instance, I know I'm flip-flopping back and forth with all the stuff with Holt High School and athletics. Again, Nucor's their adopt-a school partner. They do a lot. I'm not asking them to pony up more money. But again, if we care about our schools, if these business leaders who fight like hell to kill these property tax measures, if they care so much, where are they at now?
Well, I do think you're going to see. I think the city schools are going to be probably in a little bit better shape than the county schools, just because their millage rate is so much higher. The city of Tuscaloosa provides $7.5 million a year in discretionary funding to our school system. One of the issues we've got to solve in our community, I'm going to bore you to death with a policy topic, and you know it, and you know what I'm about to
Absolutely.
talk. SSUT.
Oh, please. Oh, yeah. No, I will sing the gospel.
Internet sales tax. So right now, if let's say
break out the whiskey for this.
Yeah, you just lost anybody you had on this podcast left. You just lost them,
except for me, because I obsessed over it.
Okay, I know you wrote a really good article on it. I wish more people would read it. But if I go to Jalapenos and I buy us $100 worth of food, the city gets $3.57. The city schools get 60 cents. The county schools get 75 cents. Right? But if I use DoorDash, the city gets 8 cents and our schools get 0.
Really?
Yeah. It's the internet. It's Alabama's internet sales tax law that is eroding millions. And in fiscal 23, the county schools lost $5.5 million, and the city schools lost $4.5 million, and the city of Tuscaloosa lost $13 million. Northport lost $2.7 million. solving that internet sales tax issue is important because Alabama's Constitution gives us very few things we can tax. And I'm sure a lot of people are thankful for that. And frankly, it's a good thing until you have situations like this, because sales tax is how we pay the bills. Now, all of a sudden, with 16% of all retail happening at the internet level, we are now losing millions upon millions as a community here in Tuscaloosa. So I do think if we could solve that issue, that would be a great way to help our school system, to help the city, the county, everyone involved, Northport. So that's going to be a big push for us to help our school systems with.
And a big thing I found in all my reporting on that too is that there definitely seems to be a stomach for that. Like, I think every local, the county, Northport, like everybody seemed to be, Brookwood, like even the little small towns all seem to be in favor of that. So I don't know. I think you're on the right track with it. I think it's just like we've talked about so much. It's making it a sexy enough issue for, the common person to understand.
So it's a DoorDash, it's the tax collected the same amount, or it's less?
It's eight. So DoorDash, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go
you
ahead.
there.
Go ahead. No.
We spend a lot of time talking about this. DoorDash is allowed to go through SSUT, and it's considered an online sale, even though you've got a person in a car in Tuscaloosa coming and picking up at a restaurant in Tuscaloosa, riding up Tuscaloosa roads, delivering to somebody that lives in Tuscaloosa. And the DoorDash is one thing that certainly hurts, right? When you could start ordering things on Amazon, right? First it was books, and then you start buying clothes, and then there's but fresh groceries and hot food were always safe for us. We were always going to get sales tax for those. Well, those start disappearing. It really starts hurting, and there's a bigger. If you thought you were going to get bored before, I'll go into full policy wonk.
And all the Kroger delivery trucks.
You can look at Kroger delivery trucks. Well, there's not a Kroger in Tuscaloosa County.
Right.
So what happens when, Publix? I love Publix. Publix doesn't have a store up near me out of the goodness of its heart. They have to make money. When Publix realizes that it can service all of Tuscaloosa County with one big warehouse somewhere in Bessemer, who's going to employ 16-year-olds to stock the shelves and to take out the buggies and do those things? And when the Publix is closed, what's going to happen to the folks at Fifth and Handle, the other businesses that are the anchor tenants around that? And you start to see your entire society go to the internet. And Lord, we've all been on the internet. I don't think that's where we want to go.
So that's our greatest challenge at the city, because we always say the answer is money. What's the question? You have to pay 40% of our budget goes to police and fire. Firefighters and police officers want paychecks every 2 weeks. Dedicated city employees want paychecks every 2 weeks. Constituents want to have those services. They want roads paved. Sales taxes is how we pay the bill. The way that Alabama's law is set up, I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. A very conservative Alabama legislature, whether through intention or unintention, has created a dynamic where they're putting California, Oregon, and New York ahead of Alabama small businesses. They are promoting a tax structure that is redistribution of wealth. That is amazing to me that we in Alabama would allow, but that's the tax structure that we see.
Sounds like socialism to me.
It does sound like socialism to me. I think we need a little Doge on that, a little sprinkle of Doge, and I'm hopeful that the more we talk about it and more people look at it, we can change the dynamic. There's some people who say, well, we just need to convince people to shop locally, and yes, we need to do those things, but no one's changing their habits.
Right.
We just need to be able to receive the taxes that we should receive off of that to pay for our services. And if we did that, we wouldn't need to raise taxes. Yeah. I mean, we need to keep what we earn, and that's where hopefully we can get with SSUT, and we hope people will continue to talk to their legislators about that. Or else, like if you're me and you have an 11-year-old and the PTA says it needs $50 more for this and $100 more for that, that's not a tax, but it really kind of is if you think about it, because they're having to make up what can't be funded through the normal revenue streams.
Absolutely.
Is that a Alabama? You're saying
Alabama law.
That's where it needs to change.
Yeah.
State level.
And the reason why it's hard to change is because if you're in rural areas and county governments, they're the ones who get the wealth.
Yeah.
And Alabama's legislative districts are generally drawn towards rural interests. So it's hard to convince people. If you're already getting something and you didn't have to do anything for it, you still don't want that money to be taken away.
Just one of those old archaic laws that hadn't changed with the times.
Well, it's the law itself is not archaic, and when it was introduced in 2015, to the credit of our legislature, it was actually forward-leaning, but it hadn't adapted with time or technology, and that's where it needs to be updated. Right now, your phone, not only does your phone know where you are, so do people in China and Germany, and in the conversation I had last night, 21 other countries know exactly where you are. We can track every purchase just easily through technology. We should be collecting the revenues at the tax structure of the local governments, because what you have now is taxation without representation.
Hell no to that.
Well, we do. We do.
Right, Ryan.
We do
Don't
have
tread
a
on me.
bad,
That's
a
right.
bad habit in this state.
I'll get you a
and-
bumper sticker.
And I'm very mindful of it now because we're 2 weeks into the legislative session of one municipality doing something that maybe their local delegation doesn't like, and so then the answer is to create a rule where this is the rule now statewide. And doing things statewide in this state is incredibly tough when you look at the divide between urban and rural. The difference between what people, I'm from Geneva County, the difference between what people in Slocum want and what people in Tuscaloosa want are two very different things. And to me, what I've always said, we need to look at our local governments. If you're upset with something that happens in the city of Tuscaloosa, every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, you can come down and talk to your city council on a streaming broadcast. You can email and call your mayor, your councilors, and definitely get a response. I know from the mayor, I usually get a response from your council members too, I believe. But I can't get a response from all of our local delegation all the time if I need to. I can't go complain to the governor that, I want a speed bump on my street. And so people need to remember, certain times we go, okay, yeah, I don't want the city of Tuscaloosa to be able to do that. But that's a slippery slope, and local government's really the heart of government and the closest to the people.
Yeah, we talk about what happens in D.C. or Montgomery. I'll tell you, what we do at the city level and the county level is 10 times more impactful in your life. I mean, what the county commission does, what the city council does, what Northport Council does, we're going to impact you far more than what D.C. or Montgomery.
And you see the people you impact every day.
Every day.
Where
you can't hide behind the marble.
state-
You get the immediate feedback. Yeah.
It's immediate. I can tell you. I feel it, and I should. I mean, frankly, I should feel it. I signed up for the job. That's
Right.
part of it. And I don't. Here's the other cool thing about what we do. Whether the issues in Northport or Tuscaloosa, I can't stand at a podium and go, things are bad because of the Democratic policies, or things are bad because of Republican policies. It's not me. It's Joe Biden or it's Donald Trump. I have to take ownership. There's no one to hide from. That's what and by the way, I think that's the way it should be. And so that is what makes local government important. But the services we provide is even more important. The state government's not going to respond. If you call 911, at 5415 Anna Lane, state government's not coming. It's Tuscaloosa Fire and Rescue, it's Tuscaloosa Police Department. Let me tell you, who's more important in your life at that very moment is that 911 call. Delivering those services at the most highly efficient level possible is why issues like SSUT matter. And sometimes the distractions of D.C. and Montgomery are really irrelevant to your day-to-day lives.
You'd be surprised. I mean, I know you wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, the people who, to your previous point, that will froth at the mouth over a national issue, something Elon Musk tweeted or something, but aren't passionate enough or engaged enough to even know if they live in the city or the county, or even know who their county commissioner is, or city council or state legislator for that reason. The number of people who don't know the difference between the state legislature and Congress is absolutely insane. And those are the people who tend to scream the loudest.
Yeah.
So
don't you wish you could just enroll them into a civics class?
it's like those kids' feelings would be hurt if they could read. I don't know if anybody's seen King of the Hill or not.
Please just know that was not. If you're listening to this, that was not Walt Maddox. Just made that last comment. So.
But talking about like local government, though, I had somebody ask me a couple days ago that's running for office. I won't say where, but they were like, if you were looking at issues that probably should be talked about but aren't. One of the big ones I think is the relationship between the different municipal, county bodies. When we look at like the library, and I'm not asking you to, pick on Northport for their recent drama, But I mean, it's stuff like that's like repairing the relationships, repairing communication with. I mean, am I often saying that? Like, it really does seem like I think y'all in the county both do a good job. Northport is kind of who I'm picking on right here, but I just feel like we could do so much more again for the library, for para, for all these different things that we're all partners on, and it just seems like the relationships have really eroded.
I think there's and this is where I'll probably get in trouble and have to go to multiple board meetings and explain myself of why I said this. But there are many things we do very well as three local governments together: TICRIC, Tuscaloosa County Road Improvement Commission, Animal Metro, Metro Jail, and several others that as partners, it's seamless. Where we struggle as partners is library and para, tourism. Yeah, I kind of transit. Tuscaloosa is the only one that funds the Tuscaloosa County Transit. So why do we struggle in those things? Well, library, para, and transit usually are under municipalities. And at some point in the 60s, 70s, there was this idea of, well, let's make them metro or let's make them county, city, Northport. And it's never really worked out well. And I think that has been the struggle. So what you get into is you get the city going, hey, we're tired of funding everyone else's services. You get the county, the same argument, and then you get Northport saying, hey, why should we fund it when we don't get anything out of it? Right. So everybody comes to the table, especially with those 3 or 4 things, and everyone can be right. I mean, it's one of those things where, everyone's being as right at the same time. And there's no good way to figure it out. So that's why you have issues pop up like the library. And frankly, there's some of these things we should just be Tuscaloosa first on. I mean, there's some things, yes, we should partner on, like Metro, like, Metro Jail, Animal Shelter, TICRIC, things like that. But there may be some things that, frankly, the city should just do the library. Its own library. The
city getting Kentuck was like the ultimate Tuscaloosa first flex.
Yeah. And you're going to see us be more Tuscaloosa first if I'm reelected over the next 4 years. The taxpayers of the city of Tuscaloosa pay taxes for services in the city of Tuscaloosa, and that's who we work for. And we're just no longer, especially as we're bleeding $13+ million a year, we have to take those resources and fund within the city and then look for strategic partnerships that are true partnerships in the sense of funding. Does that mean that para or the library over the next 4 years is going anywhere? Absolutely not. I don't see that they're going anywhere because the city and county are going to continue to do a really good job of funding. And I will give Northport credit. Their funding to the library has increased in the last 4 years. It truly has. They've come a very, very long way. And I was glad to see they put in additional resources to the operating. So maybe there's some hope on that library structure working. I think para is the tougher one because, frankly, the library where it sits physically is closer to Northport residents than it is Tuscaloosa residents, if you think about it.
But Northport doesn't have a para facility in the city limits, does it not?
It does.
Isn't that a thing? Yeah.
And that's Northport's argument. The inverse of that, though, is that Northport residents utilize para services. Right. So the Fawcett Center, which I know is technically in the county, but you could argue they play flag football or whatever sport. That's what makes the para one tougher because Northport can be right and para can be right. And that's the tough one. That to me is going to be the tougher challenge. So it's a city. We've created a new relationship with para. Our relationship is we're contracting for services for the most part. And we're not fully there yet, but we're basically saying, para, you're a service provider. We're going to contract for these menu of options, and that's it. The county basically is doing the same. And I think that's where you're going to see the relationship to go. The city is also doing more. We took over Snow Hen Park, Shelby Park. Of course, we've already done the River Walks and Government Plaza, River District Park. So we've already just started taking over ourselves and then deducting that funding away from para. I don't see a situation where the city will ever fully take on the whole parks and recreation dynamic because we don't want to. I don't want to be out. I don't want you calling me about a girls' softball game being rained out or not, or my child got on this team but didn't get on that team. And that's where Para does a great job. The tennis center, Para does a fantastic job with that. So I think our relationship with Para is going to be more of a, you do the sports, we contract for these things. And I think Brian Davis, who's done a really good job as their executive director, I think he likes that dynamic too. I sense that's where county is going. I think Ryan, I know I just gave a long monologue on this. I think that's where it's kind of heading. And I think those are, kind of my observations on it. And please send all calls and, please send all letters and cards and emails to my address. I'll be happy to answer them.
Well, it's tough when you have entities that are funded by multiple organizations for anybody to have ownership. I mean, I say it in City Hall all the time, the fastest way to get nothing done is email 5 people about it. There are 5 people on it. Everybody else is assuming somebody. There's no ownership. And being able for somebody to really have ownership of something is lots of times what it takes to really hit that next level.
What do you think?
I love the conspiracy theory, and this is the place to talk about it because we're having a good time. The conspiracy theory that Walt just wants to break up Para and just wants, the city to have its own parks and rec. So what do you think about that? I'm not trying to flip it back on you. That's one of my favorite conspiracies.
I think, no, I don't. I think there's some truth in the conspiracy that the city does want to maintain majority of the passive parks because we can do it at a higher level because for us, we already have right-of-way crews. We already have fleet maintenance. We already have IT.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. What we don't want to do is manage a tennis center or manage a facility or do scheduling for flagpole or all those things. Right. That's where I think Para's niche is, and where I do think there's some opportunity for Para. And Brian and I have talked about it. They can do that for the county too, and then you kind of get the synergy. And then maybe if Para continues on the job it's doing, maybe then at some point they're able to get Northport to buy into a similar model. My question then, I'm going to throw it back to you again. But by the way, I think River Run Park's going to be fantastic. They have done a really good job with that. Does that mean for now they've shut the door with Para, or maybe you think that door opens again in the future?
I can't really say. All I can do is speculate. But what I have a feeling in my knees that they're going to want Para to come in and operate it, oversee it. Which I don't have any problem with that. I don't think anybody else would. I don't see how else you're going to do it unless the city operates it, and they're already stretched so thin that I don't see how that's going to work. But again, I love the concept. I think it's a great thing, not just for Northport, but for the whole metro. There's so many travel ball and things like that. But the one concern that was brought up about it is how much will the local economy will benefit, obviously, but how many of our actual local athletes are going to benefit? Because if it's all geared towards travel ball and people coming in from out of town, what benefit are our local kids getting?
I think a lot of that's going to depend on how much access they get. If I had something that maybe over one of the things I'd like to work on the next 4 years is a lot of our parks are closed so often. When I say parks, ball fields, right. And the public doesn't have access to them. And I know on one hand you have to protect the fields. On the other hand, what better way to get kids engaged than to have the fields open? Right. So that's going to be a dynamic. I think you're right. They're going to have to manage over there. But I think it's going to be in Warrior Baseball getting to use those.
I'm hoping so. I don't see why they wouldn't, considering the proximity. But then I'm interested to see what we do with Kentucky. That's an absolute. It might not be the best to look at, but that's an absolute institution. Like the best baseball in the area is played there. Always has been for the last 30, 40 years, ever since it was started. So I hate to lose that and it just completely move over. And there's no sense of where it came from. But if the kids benefit, the kids benefit. I'm fine with that.
The irony of the only bad thing with that, and this speaks volumes about what is it Warrior Baseball that plays at Kentucky? Is that how it works? Those parents do so much volunteer work and invest so much. That's part of why they're so good, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
One of the things we've discovered, and I've coached my son in Little League football, is that on the, Tuscaloosa side, Para's done a really good job of doing everything. Parents really don't have a place to volunteer. Yeah. And I think you lose something when parents are not cutting a field.
Lose that community.
You lose that community.
The pride and
I think that's one of the things that's made Kentucky baseball or Warrior baseball so powerful is that buy-in.
For years.
Yeah. So it's come a long way. I used to play when I was growing up here in Tuscaloosa. I grew up in the east side of Tuscaloosa, and we played at Snow Hen Park. There were baseball fields, 2 baseball fields that were facing or were close to Hargrove Road. And one of those baseball fields actually had like a major league dugout. We thought that was the coolest thing. But I remember my parents having to go out there and be at the concession stand or cut the grass or do all those other things. We don't have as much of that anymore, and I think that's a missing element that is really good. The community, like you said, rallying around and building it up.
Now, I'll interject. I wasn't dozing out listening to y'all. I was coming up with a plan.
It's duck on the water,
I was coming up with a plan.
I thought you were. I'm glad you woke you. I'm glad Brian woke you up.
I got a roadmap.
All right, where are we going?
So as the newly appointed Dodge person in Tuscaloosa. Doge,
Okay, all right.
So we're going to defund the library. And we're going to turn it into a dispensary.
Can I have all the books?
And then we're going to use that tax to make better para facilities, which will increase tourism. And then we're going to make a metro water park.
It
Sounds
just circles
good.
back. It all circles
Make
back.
tequila great again in Tuscaloosa. I like it, man.
We'll get you a general outfit too, with a bunch of like medals on it and stuff.
So, what's the first department you're going to go into at the city to cut expenses? Which one?
This is the library. We're going to defund it. So
Okay.
Mayor's office.
So we can turn it into a dispensary. I'm going to appoint Matt to run it.
Dispensary?
Yeah.
You
We're
know,
not
there's nothing.
legal there
There's
yet.
nothing better that a 5-year-old kid needs than a shot of tequila. Right? I can see the billboard now.
Under new management.
Yeah. Please.
Sponsored by Jalapeno.
We can use Google for books.
That is true.
In all seriousness, because I feel like I need to say this because I know I'm going to get lit up on many things now with this podcast, so I appreciate this. The library, that place is jumping.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I'm telling you, I've had to go to several meetings over there in the last few months, and it is jumping.
Like singles night?
No, you can't go meet somebody there. I'm talking about.
could.
Yeah, I guess you could. There are people in there using it, and that is a really cool thing. I mean, that place is being utilized, and
That's good to
I mean, it really is,
Yeah.
and that's good to hear. And hopefully, as a community, we can continue to support it. And I know. Over the summer, they came to the city, county, and Northport, and they put together a 5-year plan, and we all agreed to make that 5-year plan a reality. And if we do that, I think we will continue to see some benefits from it. I know that Stephanie and Eli still love to go to the library, and so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those. I'm ride or die for it. Like, I mean, I know a
You
lot
have
of
to
people
have a
know that I'm
library.
like a huge, deadhead. That I was like 12 years old. First time I ever, got a tape from the library. Like, my parents didn't listen to that shit. Like there was no way I would have been able to find that, and it really, impact my musical taste, artistic taste, things like that. At such a young age, had it not been for the library. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, and if people will come after them, it's like get out of town hippies. I hope that doesn't happen. But it is. It's valuable for so many little reasons like that. So
Speaking of music,
What do we got?
so we have live music at the River Market a lot more this year.
Yeah.
I saw we got a grant for that, which is great. And we got new ownership in the amphitheater, our new sponsorship. And then a lot more concerts this year.
I think you're going to see it. Danny, we went from Red Mountain Entertainment, who we worked with for over a decade. And by the way, Gary Weinberger, who is retired from Red Mountain Entertainment, but who was the owner at the time, Tuscaloosa resident. We grew up 2 doors down from each other. He was about 10 years older. I used to smoke cigarettes behind Gary's
I thought he was going to say something
house.
else.
No, I don't talk about the left-handed cigarettes. These were the Merritt cigarettes
Right.
that Chuck Potts and I stole from his mom. She smoked Merritt. She might as well have smoked a piece of stick. But anyway, we would go behind Rabbi Weinberger's house and smoke because it was a good angle. But I digress. So anyway, Gary Weinberger grew up in Idlewood. He's an Idlewood boy like me. We wouldn't have been in a situation of having an amphitheater and being successful without Gary. He truly was an integral part of making it happen. But Red Mountain was eventually partnered and really majority owned now by Live Nation. We felt like we needed a change in direction, so we moved to Danny Wimmer Presents, who really have made their bones in the music festival business. We just had an announcement of Blake Shelton, which I think is huge. I think you're going to see a couple more big announcements that for Tuscaloosa, which is a tertiary market, and you're going to continue to see that roll out in the years ahead. So I'm excited about the direction that we're going in. K-Day, I don't know if y'all need to have Kay on the show.
We do.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. But Kay does a great job, and so I'm excited about where we're going, and it's going to be fun. We're hopefully to have a really good concert season. We didn't have a good one. We didn't have a good one last year. I wasn't pleased with
this. It's kind of, besides Blake Shelton, kind of lackluster right now. But you
a
say
book-
there's more.
There's more
out.
coming.
This is a book that Travis Tritt residency for a week.
Yeah. Here's the dynamic in Tuscaloosa, and it's just where we are. We're a metro area of 230,000, 240,000 people. So right now, or over the last 3 or 4 months, the big dogs have been eating. Okay, and so once they're done eating, then it's our opportunity to go to the bowl. I'm probably giving a very poor example here. That's where we get our chance to pick up the concert schedule. So we have to do it more piecemeal, just because of our metro area. Yeah. The good news is that the venue is loved by artists. We have very, very good ticket sales. And then we have that gem of the University of Alabama. So that gives us the ability then to go out and recruit. Now, this year's a little tougher because Birmingham's opening up a new $55 million facility, and they're paying a lot of money, as I would too. If I were the BJCC, I'd pay a lot more for an artist to come in. But I like where we are, and I think over time we're going to continue to really outperform the size of our market.
What's been your favorite concert at the amphitheater?
That's a good question. I tell you, Kenny Chesney, 3 weeks after the tornado.
Oh yeah, that's big.
We had so the tornado happens on April 27th, and the amphitheater had just opened 26 days before. And by happenstance, I don't think we had a concert coming up till Kenny Chesney, which was 3 or 4 weeks afterwards. And so by the time we caught our breath and you realize, okay, we got to prepare for this concert, you wondered, should we even have it? But we kind of hit the point of, we got to move on, as bad as it is. And so I remember, meeting Kenny, and then he told me that he was taking his profits from the show and giving it back to the Tornado Relief Fund. And that ended up being over nearly $400,000. But at the concert that night, I got there late. As I'm walking in, people come up and start hugging me. And it's very emotional. And, it's just one of those things that you're really glad you had. People needed it. And frankly, I needed it. Yep. And I remember feeling kind of guilty, like sitting there, I remember finally getting my seat, enjoying myself, but we needed that. And to me, that was the favorite. And to see that place packed out, and for God, just for a couple hours, to forget about all the hell we'd been through, Kenny did us a big favor. That was probably my favorite concert. My second favorite would be Black Crowes. They're my favorite group. Oh, man. And third would be when Def Leppard and Tesla played.
Def Leppard and Tesla, wow.
I mean, I love Tesla. Tesla should have been the opening act, but no one listens to me. I think me and you. I don't know if you like Tesla. Or not.
No.
I like Tesla.
My favorite, we got to go see Steely Dan when he was there. With the
I didn't see him that night.
Oh, they were fantastic. Oh my God, they had like a 19-year-old kid playing lead for him. Like they wailed.
Were you there for Neil Young Crazy Horse with the Alabama Shakes open? Man, that was an incredible show.
But I did go to the very first concert with Avett Brothers and Band of Horses. That was fantastic. And I was like fairly front row.
I think I was on the back row.
I was as scared to death as any human being that night in Tuscaloosa. We'd never done it before.
Oh, well, true. Yeah, that's true.
And we'd never done anything like that before. And so, and I remember at the end of the night going, "My God, it worked."
Well, it was like a
Whoa,
battle of the gentle bands, though. It's not like we had Pantera or anybody. It's just like maybe the crowd was nice that night.
I'd like to have Eric Church back.
That'd be great. Yeah,
he was really good when he came, but he's grown. He's grown to arenas and stadiums. You get to that level, you're at our amphitheater. You're just never going to be able to afford that.
We had to see Sturgill Simpson and Isbell in the same night. That was awesome. Sturgill opened for him. I'm sure I probably would have done it the other way around, but both were fantastic.
So who would y'all like to see?
I'd love to see Billy Strings for 2
Oh
nights.
man.
that would
Oh
be
yeah, that'd be
for 2
fantastic.
nights.
Yep.
All right, we'll put that on the wish list. What else?
Zach Top. That's another
Okay.
one that's like really new. I like him a lot.
Well, I do hope another thing that comes out of this, I'd like to see more festivals in
I
Tuscaloosa.
would too.
Use the amphitheater as kind of the foundational venue, but use the entire River District area and create a 1 or 2 day festival. That's coming back.
City Fest.
Yeah, it'll be City Fest 2.0, but a lot better. I've talked to Kay about really wanting to engage with Danny Wimmer in doing that, and I think that would be a great opportunity for Tuscaloosa in the future.
You could have a sanctuary stage.
I was about to say, you guys,
Yeah, absolutely.
We would definitely be
Yeah,
interested
the
in that.
sanctuary stage. I like that.
And Huntsville does their thing where they'll open the whole amphitheater up, and you can go in and get drinks or food or
Oh, that's
whatever,
cool.
and then come back out, and there's bands around outside.
Amphitheater's like
So
the main
it's-
stage.
Yeah,
Wow. that
and
is
it goes
smart.
back that night to the main thing. But during the day, there's like bands. And
That's really cool.
Yeah.
We have to go check that. Maybe we all need to go take a field trip and check that out.
We'll go see Jim.
Can we
Yeah.
take?
Page.
Jim Page.
Can we
yeah.
take the Patch jet and?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll gas it up.
Matt's got a short bus.
I'll get
Yeah,
get
short.
Stan Pate to taxi it out for me at the
Oh, nice.
Whoa!
Oh,
Speaking
no.
of Stan, what's the new McFarland Mall area?
You know what?
What's going on with that?
There are some. The current economy doesn't help anything.
Right.
There are actually some extremely positive conversations that I feel is good about an opportunity there, as I felt in a long time.
Okay.
I know I'm being a little bit not disclosing as much as you'd probably like, but I think there's some real. I think Stan he always likes to call it he's baiting the hook. I think he's done that. It could be big if we can pull this off. We've probably got another year of work on this. Companies now are really, everyone is just frozen.
Yeah.
And so what you're trying to do is when that start gate lifts again, is you're ready.
Be one of the first ones.
Yeah. Now, when that gate lifts, I don't know.
He refused to be on our show, so I'm not a fan.
Really?
I tried. I did try to broker that deal, but
He wouldn't answer me, so I kept texting him. Then he's like, "No."
what a saint though. I
Does
love
he
that
not
guy.
know you're the Doge of Tuscaloosa now?
I'll call him.
He doesn't know your title.
Yeah, that's newly formed.
Yeah, we will have to. We'll see. I can't believe Ryan couldn't make that happen.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd been a good one.
I think he's a very private man. So
Is he?
you know.
We even what told you can give us a script,
That
edit it, whatever.
Stan and I have had our ups and downs. I think it's pretty public. But
Y'all are Batman and Joker though. It's fantastic. Like that you need each other. Like
yeah, something like that. But we're in a really good relationship, a good point. And the thing about Stan, and let no one ever dissuade you from this, he's one of the smartest people in Tuscaloosa. And he can talk to you about the makeup of he can talk to you 1 minute about the makeup of the Italian parliament, and on the next hand be talking to you about the advances in AI, and on the next hand talk to you about what's going to happen at the Phillips station up in Reform, and talk about all three things seamlessly. I don't know if he just ingests information, but it is really something to behold. He's one of the smartest individuals I've ever been around, and has the unique ability to communicate in ways that any audience he's with can understand it. He is a rare talent in that, and that's why, politically he can be. And certainly, I was kidding Stan the other day. I said I have felt your wrath. I understand, what being on the other side is like. He has a very good way of talking politics. His political instincts are amazing. Now I'm going to give you my conspiracy theory. When President Trump came out in the garbage man suit and got on a garbage truck, I bet you anything that was Stan Pate's idea.
Could have been Alabama's biggest Trump donor.
I'm serious. And Stan, I asked him about it, and he kind of laughed. He didn't say like.
Oh, I bet even if it wasn't true, I bet he was like, hell yeah, he thinks it's true.
But to me, that is a quintessential Stan Pate move. That is a common man, common touch move. And even if Stan didn't think of that, that's a Stan Pate-esque political touch. he has that gift. I told him recently. I said you should have been a consultant and not a civil engineer. He has that dynamic. And again, I've been on both sides of it, so I certainly understand it probably better than most.
When I voted, I dressed like a garbage man.
Did you see?
Did you?
Everybody loved it. And I had my Make Tequila Great Again hat.
Look at you, man. That's the fact.
Were they like, you can't wear
Right
that in a
on
polling
brand.
place, and you're like, what? It's apolitical. Like,
that whoever suggested that was one of the best political moves.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
We try to overcomplicate politics. When I was running for governor, I was told by one of our consultants from D.C. that people give you 5 minutes during an entire governor's race of brain space. 5 minutes. That's it. So let's say for president you get 10. Let's just double. I don't know what the metrics are on that, but let's say it's 10 minutes.
quite generous.
Yeah,
I would think.
His ability to make that common man touch, working at McDonald's, the garbage man, while the other side was talking about democracy and all these other issues, he's talking about inflation and common people issues. He was in people's headspace where when they were thinking about the election, he was in the headspace that they were in. That is politics, and Stan has that touch. He knows where people are, and he knows how to communicate where they are to get their attention just long enough to go into that ballot box and make that decision.
Probably get at least 3 votes from being on our shows.
Oh yeah, I'm
at least 3.
This is
You're getting 2 from Northport.
I mean, this is where people's hearts are. But
But
that's
even like I said last time you came, my mom watched it. She's like, I didn't know I like Walt that much. That's pretty cool. He was telling stories, sitting there with y'all. Like you see
I
it.
think they get to see a
I don't
different
get
side
where
of
the
Walt.
perception comes from you, because you're a very charismatic, like down to earth dude when you are like 1v1. So I don't know where that comes from.
what can I do to change it?
I'm just saying, if you see,
Start wearing overalls.
you just see you on,
or like something like start smoking on TV. Right?
Maybe at city council meeting, just light a dart,
Shoot a
man.
gun in the air, Like,
But don't you think that'd be inauthentic? Don't you got to be who you are?
reality's what you make it now, baby.
It would
You
definitely
can, you
give
can
me
be
and
whatever
Scott
you
more
want now. Like,
just pull out a pipe just in the middle. Just start packing tobacco in a pipe.
Well, Stacy Cooper, who really runs the city, her and I work every day. She's 10 feet from my door, and she laughs sometimes when somebody says they have this image of me being, I don't know, aloof or I don't know what it is, right? Because every morning I eat my oatmeal out of a bowl. No, it's not even a bowl. Where you put water in, you put it in the microwave to make it hot. What's that called?
Mug.
It's not a mug, but it's close. It's the measuring cup. Okay. So I just
wouldn't think
put
it pour enough.
just so I don't have to waste time. I put the water, and then I pour the oatmeal into it, and I use the same one with a plastic spoon.
I bet that's how
sense.
Coach Saban eats his oatmeal.
Yeah.
I love that.
And she's like, people think you're fancy. You won't even go out to. You're just going to eat that cheap, instant oatmeal out of a cup with a plastic spoon. I'm like, you're right, baby. That works, man. That works for me. I guess I probably need to do a better job of showing the authentic me.
Oh, to hell with that. You're great.
All right.
Let me ask you this, though. That what, I mean, just from where you sit, and I think it's a question that we're going to be grappling with the answer for the next foreseeable future. What do people look for in a politician now? It's changed. It's not what it was even when I was growing up, in like the Clinton era. Like, that's what a politician looked like to me. Like, and now it's, we've got pro wrestlers and fucking football coaches as our senior senator. So is that where it's changing? Are we going towards this Kardashianization of our politics?
I think there is that. I mean, I really do think there's this celebrity influence now, cultural
Especially on the
influence.
Well, our
federal
chief
level.
export is culture, right? Like, as Americans, we don't build anything anymore, so we export our culture everywhere, our music, our movies. So does that become our reality? Like, again, is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson going to end up being our 50th president? Like,
I would not say no, whereas maybe 8 years ago I would have said never.
right.
Right.
can hope.
Here's what I think we have to be, because when you're living in the moment, it's hard to understand what the history will be written about it. I do think that Donald Trump is somebody that's going to be hard to be replicated in the future. I remember being in elementary school and knowing who Donald Trump was. He's been part of the American psyche for 40 years plus in his life, bigger than life. He was a cultural phenomenon before he ever ran for office. His sins were known before he ever ran for office. So where the politicians got Donald Trump wrong is they treated him as if he became a politician. He's never been a politician.
That's a good way to put it.
He is the nexus of cultural phenomenon who then entered his connection then is into politics. But he's never been a politician. He's never been treated as such. So the question then becomes, can someone else rise to that level like Donald Trump? You certainly have localized, like Coach Tuberville and maybe several others. I think it's going to be difficult. It's just going to be difficult for someone else to do that. I don't think J.D. Vance can do or say the things that Donald Trump does or say. I don't think there's a Democrat out there who can do or say the things that Donald Trump does because they just don't have the cultural buy-in.
It's political lightning in a bottle. Like you said it so well, you can't replicate it.
No, you can't
And
replicate
if you try, it's obvious you're trying to replicate
Well,
it.
think about this. I mean, we nearly threw Bill Clinton out of office for, we don't have to go back, but okay, you know, right?
I need a history lesson. Let Richard tell us.
You can Google it.
And I think everybody thought, well, those sins will transfer to Donald Trump and his past, and that will make him, he will not be able to get votes. It didn't faze people.
Right.
And
I think some of them appreciated and liked it.
Honestly, I'm
They
with
voted
him
for
on
him
that.
because of it.
It's like, well, hey, all these other people are doing it behind closed doors. At least
just
he's
don't
out in
know
the
about
open
it,
with it.
yeah.
Like I hear that way more than I ever thought I would.
Well, it was already baked in. You already knew that about Donald Trump. And so I think the fact is that his authenticity is his biggest advantage in all of this. I'm going to pick on I'll probably get in trouble for this too, but somebody that struggles with it I'll say this: anybody that you've seen that run against him or try to be like him have struggled. Ted Cruz comes to mind. You can't. They try to be like Donald Trump, but then when they do it, it's like trying to have would you rather have a Coke or a Shasta? You'd rather have the Coke.
Well, I can say this: like I got
People
in trouble.
want the Coke.
I got not in trouble, but was told like, hey, you really shouldn't be tweeting stuff like this. But it was during it was the debate before the one hosted here because I was watching it at home. I went to the one here, and Trump didn't participate in it. But if you looked up on the stage, and I'll say this for anybody here, every one of them jackasses up there was dressed just like him, in that bright red wide power tie that's too long, the same blue, not custom suit that don't fit right. And I tweeted, why are all these guys what are we doing here? This just is so obvious what's going on. And again, to your previous point, that you can't replicate it, right?
Yeah.
Like he can stand up there with his orange face and his comb over and his, looking the way that he does, and that is authenticity to people. That's the oxymoron of all the irony of all that with it.
Well, and here's the other thing that makes him better to the American people, and you got to give him credit for it. He's keeping his word.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was surprised at the number of people who were surprised by what he's doing. When the man told you
Exactly
what he was going to do, and he's doing it. And let me tell you, that's why his poll numbers are so good. And frankly, I'll say this, and this is where I'll get in trouble with the Biden people. You look at the weakness of the last 4 years, and you almost feel deceived in many ways. That you feel deceived, and then you juxtapose that with the strength that you've seen in the first month. That is if you're Donald Trump, you couldn't ask for a better juxtaposition, and he has taken full advantage of it. But I do think he's the rarity. I don't think we'll see it again. Another person quite like him. What's going to be fascinating is when the primaries start up in 2 years for president again, assuming he doesn't get a.
He's going to bully Congress into giving him a third term and nobody else that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that is a real. I wouldn't dismiss it. I think that is a real possibility.
You've been mayor for 20 years, so you're full.
Yes. Yes.
But I want him to do good. I know I sound like I have this like Trump derangement syndrome, but like I mean,
like you like him. Though.
But it's one of those things where
I think he's got a hat in his car.
you get your institution attacked for so long by the this whole and again, I'm not saying journalism as a whole doesn't deserve some of the barbs it catches. 100%, especially like on the network news side. Like I don't watch network like I read and seek out my news. I don't watch it. I'd rather read a story than watch a story. But it's just really hard for me to forgive a lot of that. And I think that's where, for me, it's kind of the start and stop. But I do. If he does good, we all do well, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, I can't sit here. If I'm rooting for the man to fail, like, that's rooting for myself to fail. I can't do that.
What I like is that he's a business guy, and I want somebody that knows business to be running the country. I mean, I don't want a lifetime politician to be running.
Yeah.
But that's me.
But who's going to be, on both sides as we wrap up, I guess? Who comes next on both sides?
I like The Rock. I'd vote for him.
I like The Rock.
He's going all in.
Yeah, Chipper Jones, somebody like the greatest switch hitter to ever play the game. Like, I'd be fine with that.
Rock's a douche.
Ryan, I'm going to send you some information on some Memphis politicians. I think you'll really enjoy.
Okay.
Yeah. Prince Mongo is going to really blow your mind.
Well, but I do like a side hustle with Congressional Digest magazine. So I research a lot of like what's going on in Congress, what's going on in D.C. And I really do. I think that especially on the Democrat side, the bench is thinner than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Like that, I really don't think there's that standout because I mean, you either have the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, the old guard, that probably should be term limited out, and then the only other there's such a gulf between that and then the AOCs and the the younger, more radical sect that I really don't, as a more kind of a left of center type person, I don't think there's anybody in DC that's like talking about any issues I care about.
I think the biggest thing the National Party is going to have to fix is it has the appearance, and quite frankly, they've earned the appearance with this idea that they only care about small slivers of society.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right now, if you're Trump's Republican Party, you have the image and belief that you're there for the business guy, the everyday American. The Democrat Party doesn't have that. They've lost that touch. And when the Democrat Party was talking about democracy in the election, if you're paying too much for eggs and milk and everything else, you don't care about democracy. You care about what it costs to run your small business or what it costs to feed your family. And frankly, that should have been a lesson. That, by the way, that's not new. We've seen that in geopolitics for 200 years. Mm. People vote their life condition. They're not thinking about the democracy or the Constitution or all those things that more high-minded people are. My point is that the Democrat Party has got to get to talking about and advocating and fighting for small businesses and the average person. And until they do that, they're going to be on the losing side of so many elections because right now they seem out of touch to the everyday American. I don't know if, by the way, and when you send me your emails, don't tell me that's not fair. It may not be fair. I don't know if it's fair or not.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
And that's how people perceive it. And that's why Trump was so successful in this election. And they better figure it out, and they better figure it out quick.
So do I get an email address for my Doge position?
Well, no, we can't afford one because we're cutting costs. But
you get a Gmail?
Yeah, we'll get you a Gmail account. Do you want to be called Czar?
Tuscaloosa Doge.
You like Czar? Yeah.
Amigo.
Amigo. I like it. These. I've talked so much. These guys ain't even got a chance. You're going to have to invite them back.
We definitely will.
So, what's your drink of choice?
It's a tough one.
Mine's whiskey.
You need more
of that. I might need it.
Of course, I like tequila, but I like bourbon too.
Yeah.
I switch it up a lot.
Okay. What are you getting there, Brian?
That's some brown liquor. This is the only place that I can be on the radio and I get it for free.
All right. Tell me about your side hustle.
Oh no, I'm the pro-con editor for Congressional Digest. It was started by like a suffragette in like the early. I mean, it's a monthly like magazine that mostly just like congressional.
English?
Oh yeah,
Me and Matt.
that mostly just like congressional offices subscribe to. It's great, just to earn some extra money here and there, but also get to learn a lot, that otherwise I wouldn't be researching here.
So you write stuff that some poor intern has to read.
No, we're a really small team. It's great, and it really doesn't conflict with anything I do. I do it on the weekends. Probably work 10 hours a month on it. But the value I get out of learning so much about policy as it's being created. Like, I mean, we had an entire issue recently that was like just on Social Security. Again, I don't know the first thing about that. And now I feel, confident when people start arguing at parties, that I can set the record straight about Social Security.
So we're going to have Social Security?
Probably not, no.
Okay, good.
Oh, no. I think that it's going to be one of those, I'm sure you see, they're going to keep kicking the can on that, which, I mean, I guess that's the way that, big programs like that work. But I'm going to be pissed if I paid into it my entire life, and my grandparents benefited, and then I turn around and I don't get shit. So,
yeah. Well, to me, and maybe this will be something Doge solved. Again, please send all your cards and letters to me. I'll be happy to read them. Is why not move back I think I may be off. You'll know the exact numbers, but if you move back your date of eligibility 2 years, I think it comes, it moves the program itself more towards solvency. Because right now you begin receiving your benefits at 62 or 65.
But now they're wanting to possibly change that, I think.
And I think that, to me, I know that I'm going to get hammered for this, but that makes sense because people are working longer.
Right.
Living longer. And when this program was designed, people didn't live past their 60s or 70s. I mean, so I don't understand why there's such resistance to modernizing Social Security.
I think modernizing it's a great way to put it. I think when we start talking about it, it's an all or nothing type thing. It's either we're going to find a way to make it fully solvent or we're just going to cut the shit out of it and, move on.
Well, you can't do it 5 years from now.
No.
You have to do it. You have to tell people like me
Absolutely,
and you,
absolutely.
hey, when you get to be 65, you're going to have to wait until you're 70. And right now I'm going to go,
And we're fine with it.
that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
But when you're 60 and you're waiting to be 65 and they tell you you're going to have to wait till 70, that's a whole different ballgame.
Well, I mean, I'm on my retirement plan is called Work Till You Die.
And that's where I'm at.
So,
Like with what I
yeah.
do for a living, like I can't imagine being like, okay, I'm retired. I'm just not going to write no more. I'm just going to sit on a fishing bank and drink beer all day. I can still do that and write. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't ever like retirement doesn't seem like a thing.
Yeah.
It's easier to shorten your retirement just by dying sooner.
100%, and your debt dies with you too. 100%. Like tell Navient and Sally Mae, you can shove it.
It sounds like you need to go into retirement planning. That could be your other side hustle.
Fake my own death and
That's his other side hustle.
oh, absolutely. What, faking my own death? Yeah, insurance fraud.
All right, can we get a Saban Center timeline?
Yes, we'll be, barring some surprise out there that none of us foresee, I think we'll be under construction by July. Our biggest issue right now is wrapping up. Every time we think we're to the finish line, somebody else comes in and says, hey, we want to be part of this. Here's some money to make it happen. So then you have to go back into design, and then once you
I'm gonna help
redesign,
all that.
you redesign this,
all
and
that
you got to
does.
go redesign that, and it's.
No more.
And so our director Audrey Buck, I finally said, look, unless somebody walks in with $200 million, we're basically done, and we'll save what's next in phase 2.
And what all is going to be housed in the Saban Center?
You're going to have 4 disciplines within STEM. So there's going to be 4 STEM centers within it that will be interactive. They'll be tied to the Alabama course of study so that when a group from Demopolis comes into Tuscaloosa, what they've been learning in the classroom that week ties into the experiments and the experience that they have within the Saban Center. It's also going to have a teacher training facility. So mostly during the summer, which will bring in thousands upon thousands of teachers to stay 1 or 2 nights in Tuscaloosa, which will be good for our economy. Maybe then come down to the sanctuary, have something good to eat and drink. And seriously, that's part of the goal, to train teachers in becoming STEM certified. So Saban Center certified is what we'll call it. We also do have a component for Tuscaloosa Children's Theater will be part of that. CHOM is moving there and will be an integral part. They've rebranded themselves into Ignite.
I'm still going to call it Chom, though.
Okay,
That's what I grew up with,
It's kind of like Prince after he changed his name to a
100%,
symbol. It's still Prince.
Or it's like Twitter, or on Coming to America. His daddy named him Twitter. I'm calling him Twitter.
Or so you going Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America?
I don't know if y'all saw that. I posted it the other day, but I really like the Gulf of Alabama football brought to you by Golden Flake. I think you get the sponsorship in there. You monetize it.
I like it. I'm good with Gulf of America, by the way. I got to admit, I follow on. I like that.
Agree.
So, but Gulf of Alabama. And if Texas says anything, we're just like, hey man, we were there first.
How many national championships you got? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's the Saban Center update.
Now, what happened? I do have to ask this because I wanted to ask at the time, but it seems like the design changed.
Yeah.
Like the facade at least. Was there anything special that went into that, or
Just basically spacing.
Okay.
Just putting all these different exhibits in, having the different centers interact, the flow of people through the facility itself. I do think we'll have a couple of exciting add-ons in the future to talk about that I think people will be excited about. We want this to be a tourist, not only an academic draw. We estimate it'll draw nearly 200,000 students and teachers a year. But we do think there's a component we can add to this that will also add maybe thousands, maybe tens of thousands of more people to come as well. And so hopefully we'll have some more details on that we can release in the future.
We applied for what was it, Matt? Not secretary. A
Press pass?
Press pass for the White House. Waiting to hear back.
Really?
For Boozy Spirits.
fascinating?
Hey, they did say they were going to.
They did.
Maybe
Well, they just kicked the AP out, so maybe y'all can take their
Maybe we
place.
got room now.
They're like, it's open for podcasters. I jumped
Yeah.
on the computer and applied.
We've never been told we had fake news.
No.
And I'm proud of that.
It's the standard. That's why I'm here. This is why I participate.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Did we say anything illegal?
I don't think so. I mean, not on this side of the table.
Are we going to talk about re-election? Is that anything you want to talk about?
Well, I would say this, and I know our team members can't get involved. I think the most important thing, two things. One, don't forget to go vote March 4th. My biggest concern, I think we talked about it briefly, is most people don't realize that yes, there is an election, and yes, there is we have an opponent in the mayor's race. So please go vote. So to me, that's just the most important thing to get across to people. Municipal elections matter, and frankly, who's mayor matters. And personally, I would say that if the best indicator of future performance is past performance, the last 20 years, if you don't think there's progress, look around. I mean, you can see what we've been able to accomplish. If you're looking to take on the challenges of the next 4 years, I believe I'm the best candidate to do that. And the last thing I'll say, and I'll get out of y'all's way, is this is earned. There's nothing given about this. The honor of serving as mayor is earned. And hopefully over the next few weeks as we close out this campaign, people will see I'm working as hard as this campaign as I've had any. And so I want to go out there and earn this opportunity. Yes, sir.
Question. I thought about it sitting here that do you ever look, and again, you can call me a crazy asshole for asking this question, but I really do think there's something to it. Do you look back? You can if you want to. You can if you
It
want
would be
to.
legal.
It would be illegal.
But do you look back
See how
at
I
the fact that
succeed.
you didn't get elected governor, but you were able to be the guy here, like we were talking about earlier during COVID? Do you think that maybe it worked out that way, in the cosmos, or are you happy that it worked out that way? I mean, I'm sure you wanted to be governor, obviously. This is your home.
Yeah,
You
it hurt to lose. I'll make anybody who says, "Well, we gave it the best try." No, it hurt.
Yeah.
But the end up, it's been the best blessing of my life. I certainly think there's so much we could have done, and I guess I'm arrogant enough to think that, right? But then to come back from the governor's race, and especially in passing Elevate, gave us the tools to really take Tuscaloosa to the next level. And we wouldn't have it any other way. I don't ever see myself running for statewide office or any other office than mayor of Tuscaloosa. I'll never say it 100% because you never know what pops up in life. But I'm having too much fun in what I do every single day. I don't ever feel like when I put my feet on the ground in the morning, I'm going to work. I like working with people like Scott and Richard. I love our team, and I love the mission of seeing Tuscaloosa grow.
I can't help but wonder, because I was here during like the height of it. I just moved back, and I just can't imagine what it might have looked like under different leadership during that. And it's one of those that you've been in Montgomery, which I applaud Governor Ivey's leadership during COVID. She was one of the sane governors that didn't get as off the rails, politicizing it. But I just wonder how that might have shaken out different had we had somebody else in that seat.
COVID was harder than the tornado. in terms of managing, because you just had, first of all, with a tornado, you understand there's people who've been through tornado and tornado damage. There were always people you could go find experts to give you some advice. No one had ever been through a pandemic. Then there was conflicting information from the federal government, from the state government. We polled COVID during the 21 election, and I think the numbers are going to be close, but I think 36% said I wasn't doing enough, and 41% said I was doing too much. you just could not win, and so you'd get people say, you let that business open, their deaths are on your hands, and then the people whose business that might have to close are saying we're going to lose everything, and
it's your fault.
It was
win.
You could not win. I think we did a good job as we could of threading that needle and doing.
Heavy as the head that wears the crown, man.
It was, and in that particular case, and it would be, and you'd wake up to a press conference, and and really not throwing shade with President Trump, but one day there's a press conference and America's closed. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden next week America's open, and you're just shifting. Or this week from Dr. Fauci, you don't wear a mask. Next week you wear a mask. God, all that stuff just trickles down, and
Now, how did y'all handle it in the beginning? Because I think the failure with the federal government, and this is documented, it'll be taught in history and emergency management classes in 100 years. The failure was controlling the messaging. That there wasn't a spokesperson appointed that was the sole. This is it, because I wasn't here right when COVID broke out. I think I moved back home maybe about 6 or 7 months in. But is that what y'all did? Was that the strategy that y'all took, that y'all got like Nick Lawley or somebody that was like your point person that was,
I think what we did at the city was our point was the incident command team. That managed it. And Richard and his team did a really good job of messaging as much as possible. I think if to go back in time, where we failed was, I think initially we overreacted.
Sure.
We as a society, the shutdowns were never going to do what we thought they would do. We thought, well, if you shut it down, remember the initial thought was you shut it down for 2 weeks.
2 weeks to kill the spread. Yeah.
Yeah. And that really wasn't the case.
It wasn't even here yet by that. It wasn't even spreading yet.
That's what we didn't do at Jalapenos. We kept operating, changed how we did it, and we stayed in business. Other people like let's wait 2 weeks, we'll close the doors, and they went out of business.
And I do think, though, where we got it right was the masking, the social distancing, and we took a lot of
helping
help.
Those bars out too.
Well, they don't feel that way, but
it seemed like they should have at the time.
That was one of the interesting challenges we faced. I remember getting
that's not overreacting, okay? No, I was just trying to be safe.
We got a call. I want to say I was going home. It was a Friday night, and basically the university. It was during July or August. In that time frame, was dealing with really an explosion of cases. There was also concern that we were going to lose football season.
Oh yeah.
And so the next morning we had a conference call with the UAB, UA system. And they asked if the city would shut down the bars for 2 weeks so we could lower the spread level. That would help parents feel better, help the SEC feel better. And if we did nothing, we were going to lose a football season. We were possibly going to lose the semester of school, which means thousands of people are out of work.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we've got to make a decision. Do you shut down bars for 2 weeks? Mm-hmm. And frankly, we took a lot of heat for that, but we made the decision to shut it down. Now, what we did do, and I was very proud of the city, is we offered reimbursement for the revenues that they lost. I think that came out close to $500,000. Scott was our main pandemic attorney. He studied pandemics in law school.
You start talking about COVID, and I had to get the whiskey.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was like Mark Sullivan headed all that up, didn't he? Wasn't he the one who dispersed it all?
No, I think those came directly from the city.
Yes, they did.
Oh, you're talking about the chamber.
That's
fund.
right. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if there was some collaboration there or not. But I mean, to commend y'all on y'all's response to that. I didn't mean to get you off the rails.
You talk about having one voice and getting the message out, which is something I think we did a really good job of. I mean, all of a sudden I was appearing on a weekly Facebook Live show with the mayor, which was bizarre.
Thanks.
But
it's kind of like Seinfeld with Kramer, hosting the Merv Griffin.
At the time, I'm like the lowest guy in the city attorney's office, and somehow I'm in this position doing that. But the the amount of work that the staff at the city of Tuscaloosa put in. One of my proudest things we did is we were reopening. We categorized, I think, 12,000 businesses into what different stage of reopening, to where you could go online and you could search your business by business license, by the name on your business license, and you'd be able to see exactly what the rules and regulations were for your business. Now, about 72 to 96 hours after we did that, the state changed what they were doing, and we had to pull it all apart. And I talked to the people at the, I don't remember if it was the AG's office or Alabama Public Health, the governor's office, and said, can we just do it? Oh, no, you can't do that. That's impossible. So we did it here in Tuscaloosa. And I've always been very proud of that.
And that's one going back to what we talked about before, because one of our restaurants is in the city, one's technically in the county. So me and Giovanni were like, the fuck do we do? Like, they said all this stuff, is that us? No, we go by county rules. We have customers mad at us. We're doing X, Y, and Z. We're like, yeah, we're in the county. We're not in the city. Everybody's confused because they don't know where to live.
No, I'm gonna write one day. I need a few people to die, but I'm gonna write a 20,000 word New Yorker feature about bartending for a year at the VFW during the height of COVID. We were the only game in town. There were some nights I'd walk out there with $800-900 in cash, and I'd be the only bartender. I'd have to be my own bouncer.
Were you shirtless?
No, dude, I was the Jim Morrison of the VFW with the old lady. But it was fascinating to see, that we really did become one of the only games in town for the better part of 3 or 4 months. That we'd have 300 or 400 people in there. Damn near super spreader event, which again, I love those folks. It's fine. I wasn't wearing a mask, but it was like right on the fringe.
Then a week later, it was like 150 people, and then the week later, it was like
now we know why DCH kept getting full.
Yeah, 100%.
You're where patient zero started, man.
Hey, I was providing a service, but I ended up going to probably 6 or 7 funerals of regulars who ended up dying of COVID.
It took a turn.
Well, congratulations.
It did take a turn. I didn't mean to do that, and they would have all been proud to say that they died from it, anyways. One of the guys who died, loved him to death. That I'll never forget. He came in, and I'll put all this in the story one day. He came in with a done or no more bullshit MAGA mask on, and I told him, I was like, buddy, at least you're wearing a mask. I'm so proud of you. I bought it as a joke. It's like, but you're protecting yourself, so you're doing the right thing.
The worst part about it to me was people turning other people in, other businesses turning.
Oh yeah, that was insane.
It was. I hope we never have to go through anything like that again. That was it was miserable, and everyone deserved to be miserable, because if you're in government and dealing with,
I'm going to clip that and use everyone deserves to be miserable, and I'm going to use that on my campaign ads when I run it.
Well, no, and what I mean by that though is that if you're in government and dealing with it, it makes you miserable.
Yeah,
if you're a small business and you can't open, you're miserable. If you're scared, if you have a pre-existing condition and you're worried about your health, you're miserable. It just, everyone was miserable, and you deserve to feel that way, because there was no good answer. There was no good solution to solving this problem until the vaccine came out. And fortunately, when that came out, I think things got a little bit better.
How did you grow from all that? As an elected official, public servant?
I think the best thing that had happened to me in terms of being prepared was going through April 27th. I need to be very patient. And you already understood all the guts of EMA and how to, Yeah, I had a good idea, but there's rumors that I kicked a garbage can down the hallway. I hear these rumors. I don't know if that's true or not.
I'll FOIA a public records request the security cameras.
Because literally your team is working, to midnight every night, and they put together something to help the community, and then all of a sudden you're at that 9 a.m. conference call and the whole rules have changed, and you just dear, and then that you changed the rules, but we're going to be the ones who are going to absorb all the punches over.
Yeah. And that was supposed to be a press conference 30 minutes later.
Yeah. It was the most frustrating time, and I felt for everybody. I felt for the businesses who go, here goes the city again. Yeah. And they're right. And there was nothing we could do, but yet you're the ones who have to implement it. So I would not want to go through that again, but you certainly we'd know how to handle it. Well, guys, I hate to do it. I got to run. I got to
get
get
it.
back
You
to
got-
work.
you got
other
work
things
to do.
Like,
Yeah, I know. We can't all be Ryan Phillips, man.
oh yeah, I sit around with my feet propped up all day.
He does.
Yeah, just waiting to get a call.
You
to be
do.
on
I tell you
something.
what, your content, man. You throw a lot of content out there.
Make a bald man blush. I appreciate that.
You do a great job. So, what's going to be the story of the week this week, Ron? Before I leave, I want to know.
The Iron Bowl of basketball. I got approved for my parking pass today. I think that is the big, and I mean, y'all can correct me as Tuscaloosa natives if I'm wrong. I mean, in my 35 years, I think this is the biggest regular season basketball game we've ever played.
Has to be.
Oh, yeah.
Like, going back, other than maybe the Final Four last year, I think they'll be 1 and 2.
You know, the good news is that even if you do lose, we're not. It's not like football where sometimes you lose one game and it's the totality of everything is set in. But it is a lot of fun for this week to see this, and I'm interested to see how many hotel nights we generate out of it, because maybe we're the new basketball school in Basketball City. So
That would be awesome.
And there's a lot more basketball games than football
Yeah,
games.
that's true.
yeah.
I like that.
Last
Roll
thing
Tide,
to wrap
baby.
this up, you're gonna get on a garbage truck.
Hey, I've
For a
done
campaign.
that, man. I've been
campaign.
there.
You got
No,
two-
well, not
like
for the
2 or 3
campaign.
Yeah,
I
2 or
want
3
to
weeks
accompany
left, like,
you on
me
that.
too.
That'd be fun.
Oh, man.
Day in the life. Hey, the whole day in the life thing
We
we've
still
been
wanna
talking
do
about.
that.
That'd be perfect.
That would be.
A garbage truck is easy compared to a recycling route.
Yeah.
Recycling route is
Gotta get
much
it all
harder.
Sorted all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, of all the things I've done, that one's been the most painful. Now, doing our debris trucks in fall, that's another tough one.
I want to drive that. Is that the one with the big arm on it
Yeah.
there that can pick up
Well,
stuff?
you kind of got to have a license for that, but yeah.
What about
You're
a
the mayor. You can
recycling?
make that happen.
What about a recycling program for restaurants, for cardboard and that kind of stuff?
It sounds like a good idea. I have to talk to Chris Meggs, our environmental services director. The thing is, we'd have to figure out how to not lose our rear end off something
Right.
like that. We already, garbage, trash, and recycling is already we're already losing money on that equation.
Our recycling in Northport's free, and I've wondered. I haven't dug into it enough, but I mean that's got to be. They've got to be getting like federal grant money or something to do that. Like,
You lose money on it running the program. Now, what you hope is it reduces the amount of your tipping fees into the landfill.
yeah.
But there's, that it's questionable. You do it because it's a good community service. And the other thing you really do save money on is expanding a landfill is expensive.
Absolutely.
So the more you keep out of it, the more you defer that cost.
Yeah, we'll shut that down, Matt. No, Doge.
Okay.
Doge cut that out already.
I'm a tambourine shaking hippie, but I like having.
Just throw it in the river. It'll flow down the hill.
I like saving on my trash by having the free recycling because it's
I
like
agree, I agree.
the garbage cart isn't like piled over
Yeah.
with cardboard boxes from Amazon.
Damn you,
I know I shouldn't have said that.
You walked right in.
There's your problem right there.
Well, you have to drive through Tuscaloosa to get back to Northport. So
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to get me a gallon of gas. Or something. Put Walt Maddox in the memo on the check that I write for $3.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank
Y'all
y'all.
have a good night.